be able to know that if tourists come to this country and spend money, everything else progresses.
All right, from the collector, he still dodged my question on the, purported intrusive security presence in what would be vital installations for tourism. Is there a way we can do this better, Fande, without necessarily having a visible presence of the armed forces in those specific areas?
Again, at times you find ourselves between a stone and a hard place. You have a duty to protect the citizens. You have a duty to protect the visitors that are coming in. And two, an attack just been in the back. Right? An attack just been in the Chivali to the population. 2 individuals, there were not even more than 5. But who is setting the narrative as of now in the season of social media, which has no gatekeeper, where everybody is a journalist? A story comes out, not from the main media houses, an individual in Kanu, where Chiwali is, this is why this one and the other one is Kamwenge, thank you very much. Somebody has sent out this story on his phone. Now, you the communicator, you have a duty of giving assurance to the population in Chiwali, first and foremost. Before when I think about the visitors coming in, my first duty and responsibility is to assure these Ugandans that we are doing what we can to ensure they are safe. But two, we earn from these visitors. The economy must grow, so we need them. So what Wekesa is bringing out is us balancing, like I said at the beginning in my opening statement, balancing between alerting the population, arousing their vigilance vis-a-vis scaring those who are coming in. What is the packaging that we should be using? It's very critical. But two, and probably almost we need to engage more of our colleagues in the media world. The headlines we use, because I can tell you, and I want this to address His Excellency the Ambassador, at the time the UK gave an advisory in June, there was a bomb explosion in Belgium, but there was no travel advisory against Belgium. I mean, was this threat selective? But it happened. Here it didn't even happen. In Belgium, it happened. And there was no travel advisory. Maybe we need to, yes sir, there wasn't. Yeah. It's an interesting observation I made. At the very time we were battling with the travel advisory, there it happened actually. Two, our neighbors in Kenya have had simple attacks. You remember? How many advisories did we get about Kenya? None. So, I'm not a diplomat, but those who handle diplomacy may need to study this scenario. Where advisory on Uganda, and where it has happened more than 22 times, there is no advisory. I'm not saying they should have it as well, but I'm saying they are not necessary as of now. Advisories are not necessary. The situation is under control. But what we are learning from this, that be it Ministry of Health, be it us, if we are going to communicate, it should be better on our side to engage the private sector and we agree on the messaging. Because we must alert, yes, but we must also not scare away our guests. Engagement with the private sector, in my view, is the lesson I picked after engaging with Mr. Wekesa. So that we have a common message that is acceptable to both sides. We achieve our objectives, but we also achieve the objectives on the other side. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. This is not a monologue, so I will come to you. You are the people in the sector. We brought the different stakeholders to be able to participate in this. So, question, just if you have your hand up, I'll come. I'll go to Major General. I hope it's still Major General. I know it could have gone higher. Or Major General Moses Rasarate. Who is are you still at the vital assets? Yes, coordinator for our vital assets. I was just checking, sir.
Thank you very much. This argument is very, very, disclaimer, I'm not a diplomat. The order of the narrative is the problem. Those who know that what success of Uganda will do to other countries is the problem. I stop there. But I want to support Amos Wekesa on this point of prosperity and peace. We have very recent evidence in Congo, Eastern Congo here. To everyone's knowledge, Eastern Congo was a war zone. Every village has a rebel group. As soon as the road services came on that road, Beni Butembo, trade began. Where were the roads? So peace came out of that economic development. People were bringing, actually people wondering, they were coming here to buy food, but they were giving us generators, wondering where the Congolese get these important things when they have no roads. So the trade began in that place, immense trade. Life changed that part from that road from Mbondwe up to Beni Butembo. Same, you remember when the Limule Juba was opened the first time before the coup of 2013, Lira and Gulu changed completely because of that road being tarmacked. So there is a direct relation between prosperity and peace. Then coming to these uniformed things, this is selective. When I was defense attaché in Belgium before COVID, monitor people came. There is what I call national media. They came and I took them around. Because after the bombs of 2016 in Brussels and France, uniformed men were on the streets till 2019. 3 years, I'm a uniform in the shopping malls, at the museums, at the what? Tourists were coming, people were doing their job. Whereas what it to be ugly here, there it was not ugly. If I'm not stopping you, if I'm not questioning you, why do you care whether I'm passing you with a gun? Why? I'm not shooting at you, I'm not halting you, I'm not requiring anything from you. So there is selective. But the problem is ours actually. Uganda, we are very bad with PR. There's so many good things in this country that we don't see. I come from Ghana, I'll be 60 next year. I had never been to Lekuboro until 2 weeks ago. So I keep passing. I have relatives who invested inside there. I have never seen the investments. And only just last week when I went to Lekuboro. So we need to mobilize ourselves to show that there is no insecurity in this country. There is nothing here. We're a big country, by the way. Smaller countries with higher statistics of deaths have no problem. So there is a problem on who controls the narrative. I thank you very much.
General,
some people are asking what job I do. This job is brand new. It's called Coordinator of Vital Assets and Strategic Installations. These are not military installations. This is you, your hotels, your anything that would be, my job is as a security advisor to these installations. Anything that disrupts the operations is my responsibility. So that will affect the economy. Anything that is disruptible, affects the economy, is my responsibility to make sure it is safe. I have been here all day. Honorable Minister, I beg to go home.
I find you're doing better if you've just visited Mburu. I have been there about 4 times. Yes, your name and short question of contribution.
Yes, my name is Andrew Collins Chiria, a proud Gen Z. That's very important. I'm a law student at Kampala International University. My question and concern is it possible for us to analyze what influenced social behavior in the past and probably for example, I would have expected the traditional leaders even to be part of these conversations because they're very influential to some people like me. And also on social stability, people look at things like the number of prisoners. First of all, the number of pre-trial detainees is so high. So probably people like, because we can talk about peace, yet person sees that the number of thieves in prison is high. So what can we do about that? Thank you.
Right. When you say Gen Z in some countries, you have a problem. So I'm happy here in Uganda you can say Gen Z and everyone laughs about it. We are happy you are here. My Vice Chair.
Thank you, Maurice, and Honorable Minister, and all of you in your various distinguished capacities. My name is Syia Kibihe, and I'm privileged to lead the private sector as Vice Chair with my colleague Mwanafunzi, our Chair. I'm also CEO and lead soft power communications. And as the name suggests, when I started soft power in 2015, it's because I understood that we were facing challenges around communication. So for us, we stand for Uganda, and unapologetically so. We are really, really positive about Uganda. But and the European Union is our key partner, government, Ministry of Tourism, our key partner, and thank you for maintaining an open door policy for the private sector. For me, Honorable Ministers, here today, I think this is the day the Lord has made. Because I've been struggling quietly. I have had the opportunity to head the Secretariat of the Uganda Peace Support Team for some years now. But because we understand that sometimes media spoils the air, we work quietly until we deliver peace. So, but Afande Kulaije has exposed us, and I thought I should say something about it. And why I say that today is the day the Lord has made is because for so many years we have worked in an isolated manner. Security on one side, civilians saying we have no business with the military, and now here you can hear from every distinguished panelist that there is an intersection between business, peace, and security. So what we did in Kasese, you know the entire story, is that for 3 years, since 2018, we decided to approach our neighbors, all those challenges you know about, with, for the first time, to use an economic approach. Because the challenges we faced in Kasese are influenced by what happens in the region. So when we recommended an economic approach, that means, therefore, that Uganda constructs what we in business call trade roads, and what the defense refers to as security roads. You see the intersection? Because you know, without peace, and you know, Ugandans each time we think the role of security is for UPDF, for police. And I would like to tell you here today that without us being invested in security of our country, we will have done ourselves a disservice. So today, UPDF, the government of the Republic of Uganda, is constructing trade roads. And in the end, Ugandans, Congolese are safer. We are trading with each other better. We are safer as citizens. But also, you know that Uganda has been lauded around the world for our open door policy to refugees. And you know why? Because we understand what it means to live in an insecure environment. So when you hear So I'm sure many of you must be very surprised. How can the vice chair of the private sector foundation be working with, seeking collaborations or executing collaborations with the UPDF? It's because when a truck of maize flour is burnt down between Beni and Sangane, the businessman loses. So for us, that's the strategic view that we take at the private sector, and we hope for future collaborations to build peace. But I also think I should say that we commend the leadership of the country. You know that over the years, the approach of Uganda has been that of winning over. That you know that the head of state, the President of the Republic of Uganda, has even engaged those who picked arms against Uganda and integrated them into forces. So that was deliberate so that our country can remain peaceful, so that we can thrive. Now, as I conclude, somebody said he's a Gen Z. I think we need to understand, government communicators, you need to understand how young people consume information. Occupy those spaces, but also build trust. Do not breathe fire down the throats of these young people, because their attention, they are very, for me, I am their ally, and I'm learning a lot from them, because they are multi-skilled, very agile. They don't need to go to any training institution to use these digital tools. So we must be deliberate about it. And now, lastly, to the media. At Soft Power, when we had a challenge in Kasese, in one of the national parks, where one of the tourists faced challenges. So when we are crafting a header, we do not say tourism disappears in a national park in Uganda. First, we take a step back, because this is bad news after all. We really have to cross-check, find out from the Permanent Secretary of Tourism, what is tourism doing about this? Call the defense spokesperson. What is the UPDF doing about it? So that's then, when we are crafting a header, we say, the tourist has faced this challenge, as Uganda steps up security. Or Uganda assures tourists of security, as such, for these tourists is intensifying. You see the difference between alarmist headlines and those that are pro-country. Otherwise, thank you for organizing this and for us to explore this intersection.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, I'll come here and try and see if I can go back. I still have some time, so I'll get as many views as possible. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Kolo Joseph Andrew. I am a member of parliament representing the people of Toroma, County Katakai District in eastern Uganda. I'm really very happy with the theme. It is true. Without peace, no tourism can flourish. That's why I've liked my brother Amos Wakesa, who I know personally. He has stated clearly the only challenge we have in our country here is the negative advisory. My Honorable Minister, you are here, the PS. One time, I was in Switzerland. There was a newspaper that ran an article about Uganda, that it is a country with disease, with wars, with killings, people are dying, and they are murdering women in all towns. I say, what is this? for sure the government should try to find a solution, especially in making sure that these embassies in these generating countries are facilitated so well so that they are able to attack those negative advisories, maybe together with the journalists in those countries. I agree with the ambassador. He mentioned a very important point about Idi Amin Dada. 3 weeks ago, I was in the USA where I traversed I crossed over 15 states by car. Participants, I agree, our country is really very beautiful. And we should all combine our efforts to market this country. What I did, I went there as Koluo, not as a member of parliament. A friend invited me. There are few things you need to carry when you go abroad. Those of you who are my friends saw me. I was carrying a very big Uganda flag. And for sure, everybody, after seeing this flag, everybody wanted to take a photo with me. And that is one way of marketing their country. Another way, there are these smaller things we see from the art villages here. A bottle opener, when we went to the bar, and it had a symbol of Uganda. Everybody wanted to open a bottle using that thing, a bottle opener. Then there is this thing you put on the hand, the bangles. I'm sure if all of us who go abroad carries a bangle about Uganda, everybody will come to you. That's why our country has been rated as the best country to visit before you die. So people are now, instead of you thinking that you are dying, you visit Uganda first. So let us all combine our effort to market Uganda. Then lastly, the commissioner artifact is here, Michelle. This information about Uganda, the only person they know is about Idi Amin Dada. From those regions I visited, those states, they are saying, Idi is still there. I said, no. Amin is no longer the president of Uganda. It is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. But for them, they say they know Dada. So I was on the view, if there was a way, as we enter our airport Entebbe, entry point, some particular some place around Entebbe, can we try to find a very open area where we put all these sculptures of these presidents of Uganda? But the one pronounced much that should be bigger is for Amin. But we should state that he's dead. Yes, that is what they were telling me from there. So that is the message I can say from here. Thank you very much.
Please don't shoot the messenger. He's just a messenger, Honorable. Thank you so much. Cham.
Thank you very much, Maurice. My name is Muhereza Chamtetera. I'm a journalist. I love Uganda so much. I've traveled around Uganda very many times, trying to promote the country online. But just a quick one. One of the things about communication, I understand about the graduate that you need to communicate, of course, factually about issues of terrorism and security and all that stuff. But I think one of the key things that you adopted, if you notice very well, when international media is covering some of these incidents, there is always a map that they put alongside this story to try to contextualize that this Kasese you're talking about is about 300, 400 kilometers away from the international airport. So that when you communicate, because there are many people out there who do not know where Kasese is. You know, so for them, it's Uganda. So you need, as you're communicating, you need to put in communications, we call it, you know, notes to the editor at the bottom of the statement. Why you say this Kasese is 400 kilometers away from Kampala, the capital city, and you know, Entebbe International, the airport, and for context, Queen Elizabeth National Park is one of the X number of national parks which are spread all over the country. So then, a person who is planning to travel to Uganda and does not know very well this country is able to contextualize and understand that actually this problem is, and you know, it's very far away from where I'm going and they can travel very safely. Then, if you read that narrative, other international media are able to pick that up and it becomes an easy, you know. So, and of course, we can always engage where you need help as a communications consultant, and we can always work on this now. But that was the mainest point. The mainest point is that I love the way how Amos and the Honorable Ambassador did give a holistic view of peace. And the fact that if there is no financial peace in the pockets, then there is no peace. And I wanted to bring this to the context and not to the attention of this meeting. And I know for some of us who may not be attending these meetings where the ministers are and the president is and everybody else. And I love that the ambassador also talks about the importance of the image and reputation of the destination is a big influencer in terms of where people should be able to spend money. Now, I know many of us here, if we had money to travel, there are some countries, and I'm trying to use this as an example, who would not travel to Benin simply because Benin does not appear in our top 100 destinations. Now, there are so many people out there to whom Uganda is Benin, and they would never think about us, they've never heard about us, they can't even think if they like us or not like us now. I looked at the report released by the ministry this morning of the money that had been planned to be allocated to the tourism sector over the last 4 financial years. They have only given us 40% of the planned investment. Now, if you're giving us only 40% of the planned investment, how do you expect the sector to achieve 100% of the objectives? So now this conversation needs to come up. And if you go further and look at how much money was allocated to UTB, who does the marketing, it's even much smaller than what MTN uses to market itself in Uganda alone. Yet UTB, which handles brand destination Uganda and is saying in over 150 countries, has less than what MTN has to say itself in Uganda. And how do you honestly expect these guys to perform? And lastly, speaking about the financial piece of the sector, I happen to also be a business journalist with the CEO East Africa magazine, and I follow closely the performance of the sector. As of May this year, of all the sectors in Uganda, the tourism sector received the least funding from the commercial banks. Of course, not mentioning that this is one of the most expensive loans that you can get. And I know the Honorable Ambassador mentioned this at the Poetic event, and he did allude to it as well. But as if that was not a problem enough, we have the highest level of non-performing loans ratios. We are as of May, we are 12.1%, and we are the highest ever. Some other sectors like real estate are below 5%. So we've all seen what's happening to Ndere, and I did mention on my Twitter that Ndere is not an example of what is happening everywhere. So most of the people you see here do not have peace in their pockets, and we need to start conversing around how do we have financial peace in our pockets as a sector, so we can be able to do good business and bring in and maximize the potential of the country. Thank you.
Economic peace, all right. So there's so many gentlemen who've spoken. Allow me to ask the ladies to say something, so we can balance the conversation. I'll find a way of finding other ladies on the other side. Yes.
Thank you very much, Morris, and thank you, our panelists. My name is Syia Kajo. I am the president, Rotarian Syia Kajo. I am president-elect 2025-2026 with Southtown Eugene Rotary Club, 341 in the United States, and District 5110. I am a true Pan-Africanist, I would say, and I run a tourism business in the United States, and here I run a company called Lego Safaris, and in the United States I have a company called Global Tours and Travel. But professionally, I'm a lawyer, However, I got interested in this sector, not basically to get money, but to promote my country. I traveled many countries, and I realized we really have a beautiful country. And I think colleagues in here, before we even shoot the government or this or here, we as citizens, Ugandan citizens, the onus is on us to prioritize our country. We need to look at Uganda in a bigger picture and of ourselves from things that divide us. Because when you look at the negativity that we get, it is just because we differentiate ourselves with this, we divide ourselves through political groups. You know, you find somebody taking a phone, having a phone, sitting in an apartment, only showcasing the bad roads in Uganda, and yet all these roads are even in other countries. In the United States, they are there. In Europe, Belgium, where they are there, but you never see this on the media. So as Ugandans, we need to take the onus. The onus is on us to prioritize our country. Let us not see the leaders. We need to see Uganda first before any other thing. So my question to you, to the panelists is, I have about 4 questions that I've taken note of. And the first one goes to Ambassador Syia, if I spelled your name right. How can tourism be leveraged as a diplomatic tool to foster peace between conflicting regions? How can tourism be leveraged as a diplomatic tool to foster peace between conflicting regions? And my other question goes to, unfortunately, in his absentia, Amos, who is not there, but he talked about sustainable tourism, and my question comes from that topic. How can sustainable tourism initiatives be structured to address the root causes of conflicts, such as inequality and lack of economic opportunities? And then my third last question goes to Fande General Felix Major. How do you balance tourism development in pacified regions with the need to rebuild trust and address historical grievances among the communities? And then my other last question from the side of being a tourism personnel, I want to ask Ambassador, are there measures that the AU can put in place to ensure that its travel advisories do not unduly hinder the country's tourism sector while still addressing your legitimate concerns? Thank you so much.
Amos is here. You want to repeat that question? I captured the question, but I may take it out of context. So there's a question for you here.
Yeah, Amos, my question came from the sustainable tourism topic that you talked about, and it's how can sustainable tourism initiatives be structured to address the root causes of conflicts, such as inequality and lack of economic opportunities? Thank you so much.
All right, so just all those questions must then come back to you. I have a queen, and when the queen raises their hand, you have to get their attention. You can't hide. So I'll allow the queen answer, then I'll come back to the panel. Yes.
Thank you so much, Maurice. My name is Syia Kibihe, Miss Tourism 2024. So I would like to outline on the point of hygiene. Now, hygiene can be a big deterrent to the tourism sector in Uganda. Now, let's look at how we dispose bottles in this country, or when we have chewing gum. Most times our students will pluck it underneath the seat. But this can cause a very huge impact. You might have a tourist coming to Uganda and say, the last time I went to the hotel restroom, it wasn't befitting of a tourist. You get? I feel like we ignore the small nitty-gritty aspects of being host to tourists. And we tend to forget to think about the big things and forget about the small things. But I'm an innovator, I believe in solutions. As Miss Tourism in Uganda, we have a campaign that is called Let the Power power shine. And I'm proud to say that it's in all regions of this country because we have regional ambassadors. So what we do is we engage with students, local market vendors, and so many people where we clean and make sure that we let the power in this shine. Because when we have a clean country, we are going to attract so many people here. So all I can say is tourism begins with each and every one of us. It's an individual initiative. So as a reigning queen, I want to consciously request all stakeholders to partner with us and come and indeed we let the power shine. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ambassador, you want to start from the last?
Yes, thank you, Maurice. I think I got a question first about...
oh, just a minute, Ambassador. Anna has a question.
Yeah, I want
district
to
governor
ask
has
a question.
Because
there's been a lot of talk about travel advisories
yes.
and how that affects tourism. And one of the things that I've observed is that every time we speak about tourism, and I know Amos is interested in this type of tourists, we're looking at people from outside the country. And I'm wondering why, when we talk about sustainable tourism, why don't we also try to promote domestic tourism? Because domestic tourism can happen regardless of the travel advisories. And I want to give an example. Sometime last year, when we had the breakout of the war in Gaza, there was a travel advisory about Egypt, and I was traveling to Egypt for a conference. And many people cancelled their travel to Egypt because of the travel advisories. But I chose to go because it was about peace and I thought I must go anyway. But when I got there, during my stay there, I went to the pyramids and I observed that there were thousands and thousands of people visiting the pyramids, and there were locals, there were Egyptians. So regardless of that travel advisory, tourism was happening. So I'm wondering in Uganda, whether there's a travel advisory, because we live here, sometimes we know whether, how, serious it is or it isn't. If we promoted domestic tourism, we would then be able to sustain the tourism industry. So my question to us, another player, why are you not promoting domestic tourism for the rest of us, so that we can be there even when the borders are closed?
Right, DG, that's a good question. And if I was gives a different answer to what I have about why they focus on them, I'll add another anecdote to that. Ambassador, feel free to kickstart this session.
Thank you very much. I think I can link my first answer to what Ms. Ann said here about domestic tourism, because the question was if tourism could facilitate, more peace in a region or in a certain country. And I think domestic and regional tourism is really also the answer to that. It can certainly complement the diplomatic and military activities. I simply believe that if people travel in their own country, in some African countries you would have conflicts also inside the country, and then to have tourism to bridge, gaps between parts of the country could be very important to show that we are, we are all human beings. There shouldn't be conflict. If a Ugandan travels to the DRC or to Rwanda, that those kind of people-to-people contacts will simply, in the long run, I think, help to overcome differences that has in the past created conflict. So I do indeed believe in that, apart from also the economic advantages of domestic tourism that also exist, I think. That would be my advice for a Ugandan tourism sector to aim more for domestic tourism, in the same way as I recommend to Uganda also to aim for more domestic coffee consumption. So I think there's sort of parallel analogies here. If you want tourists from abroad to visit your country, you should first make sure that your own population also wants to visit those spots. It will play in very positively, I think. So yes, I believe that people-to-people contacts and tourism in the region and inside the country can be very helpful to resolve conflict. And this was, as I mentioned, also the theme that I think Honorable Mao would have wanted to play on had he been here. That's at least what he told me this morning before he went to Arusha. And he mentioned as an analogy the way that he took the parliament to Gulu. In his view, had made the parliament and many involved overcome certain conflicts. You know. So I think this kind of travel can always help. Then I think you had a second question about how we could better calibrate travel advice. And I understand that this is an important question here. I think things can be done to improve travel advice, and I want to underline that the travel advice should be objective and unbiased. We checked here, the Brigadier General and I, to compare Kenya and Uganda, and I think, frankly speaking, that the travel advice is quite fair in a way, but of course it can happen that we do not interpret a certain situation correctly, and that's why we need objective information, for example, from the government or the authorities. But I also believe, as I told Amos, that certain things cannot be managed by, let's say, marketing or different wording or managing media better. There are sometimes root causes that need to be addressed. And in this country, the threat of terrorism has been there for a long time and is acknowledged. You have the ADF, the rebels that are coming into Uganda from time to time. And if that is a recurrent pattern, it will be difficult to neglect that in travel advice. And terrorism is this kind of, major issue that can lead to a travel advice against non-essential travel. Whereas, paradoxically, it is probably the case that the traffic in Uganda is more of a danger to tourists. There are more tourists killed in traffic than by terrorism. But in travel advice, terrorism sort of figures at a higher level and becomes more important for this kind of advice against non-essential travel. So I think you need to work also on those root causes, and then of course we should have to work together to make sure that the travel advice is accurate.
All right, Amos?
Well, very good conclusion, because recently I was having a chat with some guys and I said, it was a forum that I must meet up there with the PS. First of all, I want to say PS and the group, thank you so much for putting this together. I know sometimes I want to be very hard since they don't invite me the next time, but I hope you so that I have enough time for myself. But that's besides the point. I was telling, when I started the group, I was saying, the way we are threatened by, the way we talk about terrorism, you can think terrorism kills more Ugandans than poverty. Poverty in this country kills more people than terrorism. So the approach to actually survive should actually be on poverty as opposed to concentrating on tourism. But now, we're talking about domestic tourism. I'm going to come to it. Domestic tourism is, tourism. When I'm in Kampala, I go to Gulu. I spend over 24 hours and less than a year. I should not have a job in Gulu. I become a tourist. So, actually, tourism, domestic tourism in Uganda is actually happening. When I'm in Fort Porto and I come to shop in Kampala and spend a night here, I'm actually a tourist. That's what tourism is all about. The challenge is that we have put domestic tourism and narrowed it to attractions like national parks.
Yeah, visiting the park.
Absolutely. Ugandans come around Uganda. But also, there is also our education system. Ugandans study about the prairies, the rainlands, Bismarck, wherever. And Ugandans, unfortunately, also don't know Uganda. And it's very difficult to convince educated Ugandans because they don't study these things. Sometimes I go to speak to the most elite Ugandans and I talk about this country and I think you're lying about it. Yes, you don't know. They don't even pay attention. And in their head, to look sophisticated, they have to go to Dubai. So it's very difficult. But as an individual, as Amos, I think, how many of you follow me on Twitter here? I think all of you who follow me on Twitter can attest that I do a massive job marketing Uganda to Ugandans. It's just that I find it a little bit hard because some Ugandans, sorry to say this, but some Ugandans feel so offended. Even when I speak about 10 times on Ugandan and I speak once about foreigners, people think you're always focusing on the foreigner. It's not true. Let me tell you one thing. When you're Ugandan and you're called a domestic tourist, your traveling within Uganda does not add on the GDP. What it does, it is well. So the money that goes in Kampala goes to Gulu, which is very important. The other thing that domestic tourism does, it actually gives you knowledge of where to invest as a person. The other one, it inspires you to actually love your country and be able to promote it when it was best of knowledge. The reason why I'm able to speak about Uganda so well is because I had a chance to travel this whole country before I ever flew out. And you know, since many of you follow me, I travel a lot around Uganda, I travel around the world, and I travel around. So the knowledge I have is massive because I'm always informed of the new things that are happening. Now, it is important for Ugandans to travel within Uganda so they can appreciate Uganda to be able to promote the country. But let's look at this. Our budget as a country, 2024-2025 is 72 trillion. Our expected earnings from Uganda Revenue Authority collections is about 31 trillion. But at 31 trillion, we may go to 25 trillion. That means we have to borrow money from external sources for us as a country to survive. So we need foreign money. Actually, there's no conflict between domestic tourism and international tourism. What international tourism does, it actually puts money in the pockets of Ugandans to have ability to also travel within the country. That's what it does. And one of the challenges for this country is that we do not own what they call essential sectors. Essential sectors are banks, insurances, construction. Those companies that can work, those organizations that can work, even during the bad times, they make money. But their earnings are externalized. We are not the ones who earn it. This money is earned and goes out of the country. So we need to focus on getting foreigners coming to spend money in the economy for us to ever develop. That's how we need to think. You know. Anyway, go back to the question that she raised. So when you talk about sustainable tourism, what are you talking about? You're talking about three components. One is economy. Two, environment. Three, community. So if you are in tourism today, the biggest topic is sustainable tourism. So when they're talking about, when the world is talking about tourism, it's talking about sustainable tourism in the next 10 years. And they want to make sure that when you do tourism, the environment must be protected. Number two, the community must earn from it. Number three, the economy must also earn from it. Now, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for everyone else. As, say, Great Lakes Paris or Uganda Lodges, what has been our engagement? One is that I spend time, first of all, giving free knowledge. I'm here, no one is going to pay me. PS, I hope you're going to pay me some money too. But, what am I saying? I give time, I give knowledge, I talk about the countries, market it. Me as an operator is one of my responsibilities to do. But Great Lakes Paris has what they call Great Lakes Foundation. What have we done? In Chibale, I think you went to that cafe. In Chibale, we have set up a training cafe where we get kids who are 10 kilometers from Chibale, from Kamwenge area, 10 kilometers off the national park. We take them through proper training. So I brought in British trainers, you know, chefs, stuff like that, to train trainers. So those trainers can then pass on the knowledge. And I can tell you today, there's no single kid that has gone through Chibale there that does not have a job. We've started the second cafe, I think you've heard about it, in Dongo. It's also doing very well, so we're getting kids from the communities near Dongo Forest, and we're training them. We spend about $50,000 every month to be able to train this, because we give them allowance, we look after them. There must be S4 dropouts, or S6 dropouts that have a bit of knowledge that can just transform them. But it is a miracle. Those kids, we realize that Uganda only lack people to help them be able to. So it's just sustainability, that's looking at the community. But we also pay taxes. That comes to the economic part of it. But when we take those community kids from the community, then the communities, during every graduation, you can see parents from those communities shedding tears. I didn't know where my child would go. But because there's something in the forest that's actually trained my son, he can go to a place. So then they start understanding about the value of protecting that forest that there is. So it is key. But also as an individual, if you look at the pictures of private lodges, private lodge is the main lodge inside Chibale National Park. When we took over that place to the grassland, today if you take a picture from above, it's all trees. And so as an individual, I have to be interested in making sure that the environment is protected. I don't know if you saw the pictures of the elephant plains. It was all bare, cotton. Today, elephant plains is becoming a forest. So as an individual, I have a role to play. But my role should be as equal as every other person with a critical number doing the same for anything, for any change to happen.
Thank you very much, Amos. Fande, your takeaway, the last takeaway. I think there was a specific question for you. Yes, that's all. Yes, that's all.
That's true, there was a specific question. How do you balance development and building trust in new specified areas, right? I think there are areas that she's specifically referring to, I just didn't mention. But I will start with generalities and then give site examples. For starters, development can only be called development if it is multi-dimensional, if it has affected the population across the country, not selectively. And I'm talking about positive effect. You are looking at the conditions of living, you are looking at the health sector, the education, the infrastructure people are using, their ability to exercise their thoughts unhindered. That is what we call development. What we normally see in figures is growth. But for you to talk about development, it must be multidimensional. Now, for starters, what have we done? In the areas where we had conflict, we have a multi-pronged approach. Yes, you have the hard material of trying to effect peace. In the process, as that is going on, you're also extending an olive branch to the parties that are conflicting with you. At any one time, right from 1986, we have had occasion to extend an olive branch as the guns are firing. That's how we had the peace agreement in 1988 in the Peche Stadium. The longest and the most protracted conflict was LRA. We had several attempts, including what I would call surrendering our most valuable individuals. Today, if indeed Kajo had effected his threats to kill us in Garamba where he was, we would not be having a Chief Justice. He was with me there. Dr. Rugunda was there. Archbishop Odama was there. Name the top the people. Honor Omar was with us. So if he had effected the threat to kill us, I don't know what would have happened to this country. But when I told my boss at the time, the late Arona, that Kajo is threatening to kill us, his response was, for peace, any price will be paid. At that time, we were the price. All right? So I will not be even here myself. So we have, from the word when you talk about development efforts, we have been pursuing both hard power and soft power. 3, even as the conflict was going on, government was spending invaluable resources in northern Uganda, for example. By 2020, 7.8 trillion shillings had been spent on northern Uganda. This information is not out there. 7.8 trillion shillings in one region. The question came, why is there no effect? That's now a question for another forum. I will not go delve into this. 4, in addition to government efforts, we have encouraged non-government actors to be involved in the pacification process, to be involved in building confidence and trust. 5, we have not only, actually, for us, we never pursue the legal measures first. We give negotiated settlements a priority. That's why you have heard of terms like a matoput in actually sub-region. Even in Karamoja today, they used to have an eye for an eye. We have been pushing for a conciliatory approach. That if one GA has been killed, you don't go the Masteriko who has killed the other GA and you exact revenge. So, building trust means that you must be not only doing something to build confidence, you must be seen. So not just being heard, but you engage the communities, you engage the leaders, especially the cultural leaders, because they are respected. Elders, they are respected. The religious leaders, they are respected. And then you want to do it across generations, so that the young ones also learn how the elders have been doing it. So to build the trust is a protracted effort. You don't expect it to overnight.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. And your last word, DG, do you want to contribute to the last statement, or yours was the question? That was your very last. All right. Can we appreciate the panel, ladies and gentlemen? I will only have one ask. I'll ask the Honorable Minister and the PS to come and join them here for a photo. And then the PS will stay because she's making closing statements here. So, Honorable Minister, it's also very good for you as an exercise. You've been seated for too long to come and join us here. I will of course invite the UTA President, the Uganda Tourism Association President, and of course the UNDP. Please come for this photo. And our cameraman, if this one is distracting you, tell him we can move. We want a very good photo of all the partners. Yes, PSFU, my apologies, sir. I always like that Sarah doesn't forget that she has to be on this. All right? So we are going to end this. No, I think photographers, where do you want them? Up or down? It's up to you. Up. Please organize our way. Set up, please. Set up. Lily. Lily from UTB and the UWA. Set up Lily and UWA. Please. Ian is very tall, so he's very comfortable. Set up here where Amos is. Yes. There you go. All right? Don't worry. Yes. So, cameraman, as soon as you're done, I really wanted to appreciate all the panelists and thank you so much for the conversation this evening. I will share some of the notes that I did receive, more specifically those that were outside of our conversation on tourism and peace, but they still are very critical for the conversation on tourism. All right? Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and I'll ask all our panelists and the Minister to take their seats once again as I invite the Permanent Secretary who's going to make the closing statement. I want to appreciate Brigadier General Felix Mulaije, Amos Wekesa, Ms. Ann Kutu, or the DG, or District Governor, and of course the EU Ambassador to Uganda as head of delegation. We did receive questions on the infrastructure, and I want to appreciate the question on infrastructure, which the PS did receive and should address at an appropriate time. We also did receive a question from one of the queens on innovation and funding of startups, youth startups in tourism. That is also one of the questions I did pass on to the PS. So yes, there may not have been questions on tourism and peace, but it is very critical for us to have those conversations on infrastructure, innovation and entrepreneurship. But the PS has a closing statement. I'm told, PS, do we do the awards, the certificates first, or we after? All right, over to you, PS.
Honorable Minister, Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Your Excellency, Ambassador of the European Union, the Deputy Res Rep of UNDP, all other diplomatic corps delegates, our honorable members of Parliament, members of our committee in Parliament, I know some of you have been here since morning, and I may not go all the categories, but you know that we are very delighted that at the end of the day we have a full room. The hall is very full, so please clap for yourselves. We appreciate the patience, the resilience, the exciting discussions that we have had. Whenever I tell people that I love working at tourism, sometimes they don't understand. But everything we talk about is interesting, and that makes us makes a debate like this interesting and keep people engaged. I was given 15 minutes, but I don't think I'll take more than 5 minutes because we have done a lot of talking. But it is a great honor and privilege for me to address this distinguished gathering. As we come to the close of this event, I would like, on behalf of the ministry, on behalf of everyone that we work with, to express our deepest appreciation for the kind of engagements that we have had, the valuable contributions that have been made throughout this thematic conference and earlier in the morning during our annual review. Your dedication to understanding the profound connection between tourism and peace, as you can all attest, is truly commendable. And your insights will undoubtedly help shape a future where tourism plays a vital role in promoting unity and reconciliation. It's a pity that our Minister for Justice was not able to make it, but the ambassador of the European Union has actually today ably represented him because he gave us his message. We thank you, Your Excellency. Your commitment to exploring the powerful connection between tourism and peace has been truly inspiring. The discussions, the insights, collaborations that emerged here will no doubt contribute significantly to shaping a future where tourism serves as a catalyst for peace, reconciliation, and socio-economic development. I wish to thank the organizers of this event, the thematic conference, especially the staff of the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Activities. Can all the staff put up your hands? I wish to thank you very much for your efforts and diligence in putting this together. I wish to thank in a special way our panelists, whom you have seen at this event. We deeply, deeply appreciate. We know for the business people like Amos Wekesa, every hour is money. You can imagine how many thousands of dollars they have put in this event for taking off this whole afternoon to be with us. So we appreciate. I think Anne has left, but Ambassador, all our panelists, we deeply appreciate your time and the amazing contributions that you have made. As we conclude, it is important to recognize and celebrate the efforts of our participants. And to this end, it is my great pleasure to invite the Honorable Minister to come to the podium and take the center stage as he presents certificates of appreciation to all those who have made this powerful. Honorable Minister, as the Minister comes, I would like to say that these certificates that the Minister is going to give out symbolize our recognition of your valuable contribution and our shared commitment to fostering peace through tourism. Once again, thank you all for being part of this important conversation, and we look forward to continuing our collective efforts towards a more peaceful and prosperous future through tourism. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for the Permanent Secretary. Can we appreciate the PSC statement, ladies and gentlemen? As I invite the Honourable Minister to take to the center stage, our very first recipient today is our District Governor, Ms. Anne Kutu. Please come. Can we appreciate our District Governor and the Rotary family? Thank you very much, Anne and the team at Rotary. for a job well done in promoting peace, but also for supporting tourism with each and every conference and each and every meeting. Because every meeting, Rotary meeting, happens at a hotel. So clearly these are part of our domestic tourism ambassadors. So thank you very much. And may I invite Brigadier General Felix Kulaije? Please come. We thank you. Can we appreciate Brigadier General Felix Kulaije? We want to thank the armed forces. Brigadier, you represent this category that continues to pacify the region, but continues to safeguard the lives of our people here in Uganda and in the region. Thank you so much for joining us in this conversation today on tourism and peace. They said every minute means money for him, so may I invite Amos Wekesa? Amos, please come. Can we appreciate Amos Wekesa for a job well done in promoting tourism and promoting Destination Uganda? We want to thank you for joining us today and all the efforts in promoting tourism and Destination Uganda. Thank you so much, all right? And I now take the pleasure of inviting Ambassador Jan Sadik, who is one of Uganda's biggest tourism ambassadors and also continues to support the sector. We want to thank you, Your Excellency, for all the support to the government of Uganda on its development agenda and more specifically on the tourism sector. Appreciate the ambassador once again, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so thank you very much.